Okay, guys, so we're going to squeeze in two more quick units before the year's out. And the first one is on ecology. We'll be on it for a little while, and then we'll finish up with Earth and space science. Well, I am a physics and math teacher, and I do know quite a bit about chemistry as well. And on Earth and space, I'll be good. I'm definitely not an expert in ecology, so if you're coming to me to elaborate on things, you could be in trouble. So this is going to be two quick lessons rolled into one. One's on the intro to ecology and one's on energy flow and ecosystems. This is stuff that you guys, I think, have covered in elementary school. At least my own kids have kind of covered it. So it should be review if you know, if you've paid attention through the years. So the spheres of the Earth are the atmosphere. Number one, that's layers of gas surrounding the Earth. 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and then there's a few other things thrown in there. The lithosphere, that's the Earth's solid outer layer. That's the rocks and the sand and all that stuff. About 50 to 150 kilometers of thickness. And then we have the hydrosphere, that's all the water in solid, liquid, and gas form on Earth. 97% of all water on Earth is contained in the ocean. The rest of it would be in your freshwater lakes and streams and rivers. And then the biosphere is where all the life can exist, the zone around the Earth where life exists. All living things need space, they need water, they need nutrients to survive. As usual, pause this at any point if you want to think about it, if you want to write anything down. Ecology is the study of the relationships between living organisms and their environment. Just like chemistry is the study of chemicals and how they interact with each other, ecology is the study of living things and how they interact with their environment and with each other. An ecosystem is any area where living organisms interact with each other and non-living surroundings. Now, just a quick thing here. Living things are called biotic, and non-living is abiotic. And that does come up in the questions later. Just to go back, this could be any size from a drop of water to the size of a whole lake, or big parts of the ocean can be an ecosystem. Oh, here's those two terms. An ecosystem is made up of two components, the living, the biotic, and the non-living, the abiotic. Living consists of producers and consumers. Producers are things that make their own food, usually plants. They make their own food from nutrients in the soil, water that just falls on them, and the sun during photosynthesis. And consumers are things that eat plants and sometimes eat each other, right? So that's everything else that's not a plant is generally a consumer. And things that are non-living or abiotic can be anything like the air, the temperature, water, minerals, soil, humidity, just everything else in the ecosystem that is non-living. An ecosystem can be grouped into two types of environments, aquatic and terrestrial. Aquatic, of course, means water. Terrestrial means on land. Some ecosystems can transition between the two types, and this allows species from bordering ecosystems to interact and create more biodiversity. Biodiversity just means it's basically the number of different living things or biotic factors in an ecosystem. The more variety of different things in an ecosystem, typically the more stable that ecosystem is. Biodiversity positively influences ecosystems by making it less fragile. If one food source is eliminated, then there's lots of other food sources, right? So that's what I'm talking about when I say stability. If there's only one type of plant in an ecosystem, if something happens to that plant, it has a bad year, there's some sort of disease that takes it out, then the whole ecosystem can collapse. If there's lots of biodiversity, then there's lots of food sources. Sustainability is the ability to maintain natural ecological conditions or processes without interruption, weakening, or loss of value. The biological organization hierarchy starts with the individual, moves to the population, which is the number of individuals of the same species living in an area. And from there, it goes to a community, which is a collection of several populations or maybe many populations in an ecosystem. And then the ecosystem is the biotic communities interacting with their abiotic surroundings. The biome is a collection of ecosystems that are similar, usually in plants and vegetation growth, like the grassland biome, tundra, and the forest biome. And then finally, you've got the biosphere, which is the Earth, or the layer of the Earth where living things can exist. So that's the hierarchy. Like if you want an example, like we could just say grass, a single blade of grass could be the individual or a single plant, and then a population is all the grass in an ecosystem. The community would be the grass and then other plants and other animals in an ecosystem. And then the ecosystem then combines all of those communities or the community with the abiotic surroundings, things like air and precipitation and stuff like that. And the biome would be the collection of a whole bunch of related ecosystems together. And then finally, of course, you have the Earth. So that is basically our intro right there, guys. But I'm going to keep rolling here in this video. I'm going to get out of this one. I don't know why I'm keeping those annotations, but I am. And we're going to move right into how energy flows in an ecosystem. So energy flow in an ecosystem. Well, first of all, energy, all organisms require to live. The main source of energy is radiant energy from the sun. Can be ultraviolet, can be visible, can be infrared, all the types of light hitting the earth from the sun. 70% of that sunlight is absorbed by the hydrosphere and lithosphere and converted into thermal energy, heat. 30% is reflected back into space, and a very, very tiny percentage of that light is absorbed directly by living organisms through the process known as photosynthesis. Now that seems like not very much, less than 1%. Very small amount, but remember the sun is beating on us with its lots and lots of energy at all times. Even at night, it's just hitting the other side of the earth. So there's lots of energy there. So it is just 0.023%, but it's 0.023% of a large amount of energy. So photosynthesis, as you probably already know, is the process in which light energy is converted into chemical energy. Without photosynthesis, there would be no life on Earth. Example is any green plant, organisms that make their own food. So what plants will do is they take water, they take carbon dioxide, combine it with sunlight, and they produce two things. They produce oxygen. Well, that's good because we need oxygen, and they also create energy. That energy enables them to survive. Inside of green plants, there's a chemical called chlorophyll. Resides in all green plants and some microscopic organisms like algae, and they capture light energy. They produce two chemical compounds, and the following is the word equation for photosynthesis. So what you see there could be described as a chemical equation, all right? Carbon dioxide plus water with some light energy produces oxygen, and what else did I say? Energy. But the energy is stored as sugar, glucose to be precise, which is the same chemical in just regular table sugar, white sugar that you have in your home. Its chemical formula, I think, is C6H12O6. And that energy is stored, or that chemical sugar is stored and can be burned at any time for that plant to do all the processes it has to do, like grow and reproduce and all that stuff. Photosynthesis produces stored energy in the form of sugar, like I said, And then cellular respiration is the process by which sugar is then converted into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So when the plant, or I mean, we do the same thing, all living things undergo cellular respiration. So we take sugar and we essentially burn it and turn it into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Remember, I said it's C6H12O6. So what do you see in there? There's enough carbon and oxygen to make carbon dioxide. There's enough H2O to make water. And then we also get the energy out of it. So in the sugar form, it's stored energy. And then we burn it to make actual energy. And here's the chemical equation for that. Sugar plus oxygen produces carbon dioxide, water, and that critical energy. Unlike photosynthesis, cellular respiration is always occurring. That's why even if you just sit around playing video games all day, you burn like 1,500 calories or 2,000 calories, depending on how big you are. So it's happening all the time. All of the living processes in your body require cellular respiration. So you're always burning calories. You burn more calories if you're doing stuff, but you always are burning calories doing everything. Photosynthesis and cellular respiration, those reactions are said to be complementary. If you put them together, it's like a cycle. If I just go back to them, sugar plus oxygen gives me carbon dioxide and water. For photosynthesis, you require water and carbon dioxide to produce oxygen and sugar. So one's with a couple of tweaks, or one tweak with where the energy goes, they're the reverse of each other. So humans and animals need to consume other organisms or their products for energy. But believe it or not, what we mostly do with the stuff we eat is we turn it into glucose. That's how we store it. We store it as sugar. In return, they produce carbon dioxide and water needed for photosynthesis. So we produce the water and carbon dioxide. Plants take the water and carbon dioxide and spit out oxygen, which is what we need. Not all energy is transferred on. Some of the energy is used for building materials within the organism in order to live and survive. And we're not going to go over the anatomy of the plant. So that's kind of your intro. It's a bit of a rough intro, I know. And there's a couple of sections in the textbook I want you guys to be looking at here for this. But I haven't decided just right off the top of my head here which questions I want you to do. There's quite a few in the sections I want you to look at. So I'm going to narrow it down, and then I'll include with this post exactly which ones I want you to do. I was just going to say do them all, but I think there's like 12 questions in each section, and I don't need you to do that much. I'll pick out just the ones that are absolutely necessary. You can submit a picture of your solutions, your answers to those, and we'll call it beginning of the week. I'll be back with another lesson to post on Wednesday. And then we'll attempt a Google Meet on Friday. And if you guys are having trouble, okay, that's it for now. Good luck.